Hello everyone, I would like to introduce to you our new little snail. This is Mabel Orange. And Mabel Orange came to us in a very magical and unexpected way. So first of all, let me introduce to you the new terrarium, which just got set up today. So we have this little plexiglass terrarium that is set up with snail-friendly plants and substrate and other, it's all really snail-friendly things. So the majority of the things came from Terrarium Tribe online. We have some different mosses, two different types of mosses. They're hard to see because there's so much stuff going on in here. There's a very vibrant green and long fuzzy moss, and then a more subdued, shorter type of moss. There are oak leaves, dried oak leaves, and then we have cork bark, which make good little hidey holes. And they're really soft, so if Mabel Orange were to fall, hopefully she would not, or they would not break their shell. There is a magnolia seed pod in the back there that is being covered a little bit with a leaping frog ficus. And a leaping frog ficus is a miniature vining ficus, and I don't think it will get much bigger than that. And that is a good snail terrarium plant because it's not a plant that snails like to eat, and it doesn't require a lot of sunlight either. And snails don't like sunlight. They prefer shady spaces. There is also some food in there, as you can see. There is baby broccoli, a slice of sweet potato, and a slice of yellow squash, all organic because pesticides would kill snail. This carrot has been munched on over the last couple of days. Isn't that cute? And then behind the cork is a little piece of kettle bone. You could just make out that little white piece there. I have no idea if Mabel Orange will ever be interested in kettle bone, but I have read that it could potentially be a good source of additional calcium. Although I suspect that most of the veggies that Mabel Orange will be consuming will provide enough calcium for shell growth, hopefully. So their diet will be mostly vegetables, which will provide calcium and protein, and then occasionally they will get a little fruit treat. But I've heard that they can get a bit addicted to things like cucumber, and then that's all they'll ever want to eat. So fruits in moderation, and then even nuts and seeds. Some people were saying raw pumpkin seeds and raw sunflower seeds, and even organic. Everything has to be organic because pesticides will kill snails. Raw oats, if wetted down and softened up, could potentially be a tasty food treat for snails. So anyways, if you haven't noticed where Mabel Orange is, let's see if I could get my camera to focus. It's kind of hard to. Mabel Orange is on the ceiling. Here, I'll just open up the lid and give you a better view. There's Mabel Orange. So adorable. Pretty small. Shell is maybe the size of a dime at this point. We're just calling it a garden snail at this point, and potentially they'll grow to be about an inch in length, and I'm assuming that's the snail size, or excuse me, the shell size. We don't really know. So if anyone knows more about snails, please let us know. So we've done a lot of research though since Mabel Jane popped up into our lives very suddenly. Now, Mabel Jane appeared one day. I think to tell you the story, I want to give you a little tour. And now without the lid on, you can see kind of further details into the little house, maybe. And I want to close this because I feel like Mabel Jane is just going to keep, or Mabel Orange. Jane is my Aunt Michelle's or Aunt Mabel's older sister. Maybe they should be called Mabel Jane, who also lives in California. That would be kind of fun. All right, let me take you on a tour. So one day I was in my room practicing violin and I glanced over at this plant. This plant was a gift from my Aunt Michelle, whose birth name was Mabel, who lives in California. This was given to me months and months and months ago. Behind this plant was a little envelope with a red wax seal on it. And on this wax seal was this weird brown blob that I'd never seen before. And so I looked closer at it to discover it was a little snail shell. And I thought, well, that's weird. And the only thing I could think of was that it came from this plant. Now, these flowers were not there at the time. That seems like maybe it could have come in with the flowers, but these weren't here. Only this plant and this plant. I don't think it would have been on this plant. I took this cutting myself. There's no way a snail could have been hiding on that. So anyways, I thought for sure, since that little snail has potentially been living in that plant that was gifted to me months and months and months ago, has been there in a very dry climate, potentially without any food and very, very little water, there's no way it would still be alive. And when I investigated, it was all sealed up in its little shell and it seemed pretty dry. But I wanted to see if there was any hope. And so I have this little plastic Tupperware with a little lid, and I put some soil in there and I put some food and I sprayed it down with a lot of water, and I put the little snail inside and I closed it up. And sure enough, the little snail came out and it's alive. And so Brian and I are like, we have a new snail pet. And so we put together an order. First of all, we did a bunch of research to see like how to make a proper snail habitat and what snails like to eat and what is the best, like what kind of plants it should live with, and just, we want to give it a good little house. We wanted to just move it into a better place as quickly as possible, but there's a really good chance that it's going to end up in a larger terrarium in the very near future, and most likely is going to coexist with isopods and springtails. So that's going to be really fun. But for now, this is going to just be a much better upgrade with than the little Tupperware that it was living in for the past week since we found it. So anyways, that is Mabel Orange, and they're really cute, and it's fun having a little snail pet. And we give it fresh food every couple of days, depending on how those vegetables are looking. And I think maybe we'll give it a little fruit treat soon. Maybe we'll try a little piece of banana. And yeah, it's really fun to have a little snail. And yeah, I really like having it. Yeah, look at their little mouth.